Hi guys, I'm Mike Rees. I'm at the Seawind factory here in Saigon, and I'm stood next to hull 13 of the 1370 production line. Today I'm going to take you through hull 13, and we're going to look at a few of the little changes that we've been making as the product develops over time. I mean, essentially there hasn't actually been any sort of generational changes, but there are certainly things where we've looked at it and we said, you know what, we can do better. And without a doubt, we've got customers that after they've been sailing the boats for a number of months, they say, you know what, we think you can do better. So you grab that information, that feedback, and we say, right, what do we want to do? What do we want to change? And how do we implement that? So let's jump on board. We'll go through and we can see how the product is developing over time. Maximising the storage on the boat is always important. Doesn't matter where you are on the boat, you don't want to have any wasted space. So when we look down here, we've got storage under the stovetop. We've got a storage inside the locker. We did previously have it on the door. It's now inside only. And then we've also got some storage in this area here now. It's only small, it's only shallow, but it gives you access for service under the sink base. But you know, that's suitable for a spice rack or whatever it might be, cleaning goods. But then, as I say, you can get access right into the service or maintenance. We also modified the configuration on the end of the island vent just to get better usability. And again, that was feedback from customers saying, hey, look, I think this would be a better option, and it worked for us, we agree. So we've adopted this pull-out drawer. Double pull-out drawer, much easier for storing your larger items. And you can configure that as to however you'd like. Down on the starboard side here, we've got our standard pantry on the outboard side. They're very strong. And we're getting feedback from some of our taller customers that when we're opening up these saloon windows, we're getting too much glare. So now, for me, I'm sort of 5'7", I can see straight through here, but when you're a little bit higher, all I'm seeing is the reflection, and it's all white gel coat. So we modified, we've actually increased the power of the gas strut, and we've also extended it, so we've got a little bit extra height. So anyone that's, you know, up here at around the sort of 6 foot high mark, you really got it from the underside of this, you've got a straight line out. We're also going down to a 2-strut system as opposed to a 3-strut system, which is coming in down the line. But again, just small little changes, but they make significant difference for people that are, you know, having to stoop to see through the windows. This little technical device, which has been common for all of our 1160s and 1260s, this is actually probably the #1 thing that if a second-hand boat buyer buys a Seawind, a photo comes through saying, what's this for? Well, we use them to support the table. So when the table's in the down position and made into a bed, the table goes down and sits on here. Now, in this boat, we've just started putting in some dedicated storage for it, and they all sit there. So you have 3 of them. Again, small things, but at least they've got a home and they can always be put away. Inside the owner's cabin, port side, and this is our standard setup on the inboard side for the lower desk in the owner's cabin. We had originally, by request, put in a few third wardrobe components in here, but actually we found when you're walking in, it really closes off this opening in the bulkhead. And the whole concept when we were doing the design brief and the development was to get this beautiful, nice big area, big open space. So this is our standard. We don't do any variations from it now, but we've got a lower desk. You've got a bit of storage in behind on a gas strut, and you know, it's a good space as a second space to do any work. Obviously, a bit of storage here. Typically, people are putting in their power outlets here as well, so it's, you know, doubles up as a space to charge your phone when you're going to bed or whatever it might be. You know, and if you are putting on your Sunday best, then you've got a decent sized mirror and light here if needed. So a nice little touch that's on the handrails now. We've got these leather covered handrails. We always had the handrails, but they're just nice on the hand when they've got a leather finish. And then looking at the options on this boat, So customers got aircon, and now the aircon vents come through in this color coordinated sprayed finish in grey. We've got optional fans on either side. We've got USBs down underneath, perfect for putting in a mobile phone or something. And then we've got these new portholes for additional storage here, so you can, you know, throw in your book or your bottle of water, whatever it is. Storage in this boat is phenomenal. There's so much storage. Under the owner's bunk here, we've got these huge lockers, full width, and down below we also have a, you know, good set of drawers either side. So you really got a his and hers, or however you do it. And then we previously had a sliding door on here, but it doesn't need it. It's a, you know, it's an owner's cabin. It's all one area. Coming through, you've got a big locker here that you can put anything into. You can put your dirty laundry there if you want to, or you can put anything and everything, shoes. Again, full height lockers, so storage space, and people often are buying crates, things like that to put in here. And then you've got a hanging locker here, full height hanging locker, and further storage down below. So another adjustment we've made to the starboard forward cabin here is this fold-away table, which, you know, if you're sat here, we're in the starboard forward bunk, reading a book, you can put a drink, or perhaps probably more typical might be that you're putting in a laptop or an iPad, and, you know, you can watch a movie here. So next we're in the starboard forward cabin, and this customer's got the workshop option. So the base boat and the workshop option actually looks the same when everything's packed up. You've got 3 cushions, and I'll just remove these now. So with the workshop, you've got a fold-up lid, and then you've got your working seat as well. So you can mount a vise, or you can do, if you've got small work, you can do that on the bench here. With the workshop option, you've also got your additional lights and 2 GPOs. You've got your the DC output there as well. So this one's a cigarette lighter, traditional style 12-volt outlet, so you can have a bit of high power there. Opposed to the starboard forward workshop area, we also have the starboard forward utility space. And as you can see, we've got 6 large storage bins which sit underneath a good workshop bench, and they're really good for tools or spare parts storage. Then the cabin sole runs much further forward in this option, allowing you to stand and access the bulkhead mounted locker right at the forward end. You can also access the chest locker at the front of that bench space. Included in this option, you have a 12-volt outlet, cigarette style. You've got the GPO and the light. Obviously, the GPO has the USB A and C outlets also. And then we had some customers saying, well, look, I don't actually want to lose the starboard forward bunk. It's, you know, great for little kids or when you've got those extra people on board. So with this option now, we've incorporated to put in a panel that goes across the top. It's in sections, and you've got 3 cushions also. Now they all can be removed, and they all fit inside that forward locker right on that forward vertical surface. This boat's got the option for the starboard aft bunk drawer set, which, you know, if you've got somebody that's staying in this cabin regularly, it makes sense to take that. You've got these 2 nice big deep drawers, and, you know, if you're living on board and unpacked, socks, undies, whatever it is, you've got storage here as well as your hanging locker. Perhaps for people wanting to have better access underneath for larger item storage, we actually did a modification, I think it was around about boat 5 or so, where we changed the engineering here a little bit, in that this is standard. You've got this storage space where we got rid of the ring frame to make it one nice big open storage space, and that's big enough to put your luggage, big luggage cases. You could put in a 12 or 24 volt fridge freezer if you wanted to. And if you don't have the optional drawer set, then this is an open space and you can store long items going through into that. So you could put in a pull-out fridge freezer into there. So that's just a small modification just to maximize that storage space by moving some of the ring frames and the bulkheads to really get that open space. So this starboard aft cabin door was a change that we put in quite early on actually. I think it was about boat 3 or so, where the original door was just a single piece door limited by the headliner. And we moved to a bifold door, which is obviously standard now, giving you much better access, still the privacy that you need for an aft cabin, but it tucks away nicely. You can still access your hanging locker, and then it folds through and it's just held with a magnet. So outside we've looked at some of the ergonomics and the upholstery and just done some, again, minor modifications, but they're just little bits that you know, I think improve the overall experience for our customers. So a little bit extra lumbar support, so we've just brought this angle out slightly, much more support behind, and then we've got these pleated seats just giving a bit more comfort and a defined shape. I think certainly they look better and they feel comfortable. When we go to the aft cockpit seating, we've also, you know, just improved the look and the styling here. Again, we're still modifying and changing as we go, but this is a comfortable area, great for entertaining. So this customer in particular, continuing this black theme throughout the boat, we've got, I think this is the first boat that we're doing the black pinstriping, black caulking on the flexi-teak, which always looks special, definitely. It does retain the heat a bit more than the lighter tones, but for the colder climates, I mean, it looks first class, definitely. So black pinstriping. We've also got the optional synthetic rigging, and per request for this customer, we've gone to a black synthetic rigging. So black tramps, black lines, and black pinstriping. Black sail bag. This boat's going to look pretty spectacular, I think. One of the changes we put in place quite early on, as even I think at Ruby Rose we had the bird's eye maple, but we've certainly sort of developed the way we're putting it in now, so full bird's eye maple on the top here, on the shelf, and then you've got it on the nav desk. You also have it when you take that option as the main saloon table, and then down below on the port side where you've got the lower desk area, that also is finished in the bird's eye maple. It just gives a nice little lift. It's a beautiful timber and it's, you know, in a satin finish. So one of the more significant upgrades that we've done to the 1370 is the change in our davit setup. There were a couple of things going on where we had a single line system using the carbon pole, carbon davit. It looked beautiful, I have to say, but the purchase system was quite difficult in that the load was pretty high for coming onto a single manual winch. And then also we felt like the height of the dinghy could be improved if we had a step up davit like we've got here. So this is the new standard setup. This is an aluminium davit, and we have a 6-to-1 purchase system on each side. So now that we know from our other boats that 6-to-1 on a you know, a 3.6 or a 3.4 dinghy with an outboard on the back, you can manually, you know, you've got a good standing position here, you can manually pull that up. But equally, if you want to, you can take that line, you've got a fair lead there, and you can bring that line over to the winch if you wanted to put it on a powered winch. But at 6-to-1, most people, I think, you know, you can manually operate that. So the 6-to-1 set up and having separate lines just means you're also able to get a bit of angle in the dinghy. So if you're trying to drain the dinghy, sorry, you can put the stern down, pull the bung out, let it out, fine. Each davit, we have a block mounted to it. This one's for an inflatable round dinghy. We also have flat types for the OC tender type. We also brought the davit in a little bit shorter. So these davits sit within the total boat length, whereas the carbon poles, the originals and the version 1 of these, a bit longer. So if you are going stern to and a mid-mooring, your davits with this setup are not sitting into the walkway. Down the back of the boat now, and just a few mods we're doing. We've put on this GRP cover over the top of the electric line driver, just preventing any debris getting into the bearing surface. As we come down a little bit further, got quite a few boats heading over to the Med, and we just upgraded the cleat sizes as standard. So all boats now as standard come with this. Just a larger diameter. You know, when you're doing the mid mooring and you got stern lines coming across to both sides, they get loaded up pretty quickly on the smaller cleats that we had previously. So the cockpit roof is another area that we've just done some minor mods. And I think it was actually after we did the Ruby Rose event in Thailand, we had a few people through the factory and a few comments about whether you've got, you know, good hand grips here that are solid to grab onto. And also, we also had feedback, you know, when the water is really flowing off the deck, when you've got, when it's raining, you know, this lip was too small. So we've just increased the height of this just marginally. So, but you've actually got a really good grip here. We also now have a handrail as standard, but what that does just means that rainwater coming down is really channeling down and not coming down the side. So we're trying to keep the helmsman or helmsperson as dry as possible. So we've got a nice bigger gutter here. The other thing we've done, which is just a new addition, I think on this boat possibly, is this lip here. So we've got our side clears, which are, I mean, they're never waterproof, they're weatherproof. And the side clear was press studded on here, going around, and you've still got access to your ropes, etc. But we've just put on this additional molding so that we can then press stud onto the front face and then wrap around. So you've got to just increasing the ability to withstand water ingress. Up on the foredeck, we've got this huge sail locker. And I mean, the 1370, the storage is actually, it's vast. The central sail locker also, but this one really is our wet space sail locker up on the foredeck here. So the locker's set up so it can be as a wet locker. So it does have a valve that drains down. So if you put in a wet, you know, screecher, spinnaker, whatever it might be, it can drain out. You can shut that valve also. One of the additions that we've put in here just recently now is we're putting in this mesh netting. So if you do put a sail in, and that mesh netting is, you know, high enough so that it can drain down low. I mean, just it also gives another level of storage in that you've got almost like a shelf, but it's really designed for a wet sail to be able to then drain down and clear out. So you can keep the sail off the base of the locker, and once it's dry, it then stays dry. We're down on the deck. This is the boom for the 1370. Quite a bit of change that's evolved on this boom setup. So starting at this is the gooseneck end. We've got our reefing lines coming up through the sheaves here. And we just found that we were getting, just when they're coming out of the angle, a bit of chafing going on. So we've put in this Teflon coated aluminium plate bolted on top, so it's just got that, it's like acts as a fair lead essentially, and that's reduced our chafing issues. Probably the big thing that you'll notice when you look at this is that we've got a mesh that goes right the way across. So if you come over this side and you can see underneath, you can see we've got our aluminium frame coming through, and then we've got rails running along the side, and we've just modified the shape slightly, made it a bit wider, just to be able to get the sail, when they're flaked, to do full width inside the sail bag. And it's just, the mesh is giving us a nice softer surface to put the sail down onto. So come down this side. Okay. So as you look at it here, you can see we've got the aluminium frame, which is supporting the weight of the sail and the boom. And then you've got two rails, one stacked on top of each other. The top rail takes this trampoline mesh. So this is an open mesh, so water can drain through it. You can see we've got our holes here for our reefing lines. But essentially this is where your sail, when you flake it down nice and wide, it's going to sit in here. And some of those high spec, like the GPL light skin sails, they're beautiful sails, very, very good for performance, but in terms of resistance to wear, chafing, they need to be stored in a environment like this where they've just got nothing touching them, nothing to rub on them. So yeah, so a new tramp set up here, and then we've got a second rail mounted here, which our sail bag then comes around onto. So when it's in the up position, you'll then bring it right up. So you've essentially got a sort of a right angle shape inside the sail bag, lots of storage space, and protecting the sails very nicely.